Okay, good morning. It is Wednesday, January 4th in the year of 2023. And this is the Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission. This is our Wednesday business meeting. We will start with a roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Ackerman.
Here.
Commissioner Bogue.
Here.
Commissioner Cross.
Present.
Commissioner McGowan.
Here.
Commissioner Mesner.
Here.
Commissioner Oath. Commissioner Robbins.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have 6 out of 7 commissioners present.
Fantastic. Good to see everybody. Hope everybody had warm and good holidays. Good to be back at it. Although we have a rather slight agenda this morning, just a consent agenda. We did not have any public commenters sign up for public comment. We had one written public comment. It was from someone named Megan, and it had to do with Boulder County and forced pooling. We've read it. We appreciate the written comment that has been prepared for us. With no further public comment, the next agenda item is commissioner comments. Would recognize any commissioners with general comments for the good of the cause. Commissioner Ackerman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate that. As I think many people are aware, pursuant to a citizen petition in the latter part of 2022, and I meant to say good morning and happy 2023 to everyone. The Commission committed to undertake some discussion with regard to cumulative impact analysis of oil and gas development in Colorado, and I was largely tasked with heading that. Just wanted to give a brief update that we continue to put together a framework to address that process, and we should have more information forthcoming on that in the next few weeks. Wanted to especially thank all those, both groups and individuals, who have reached out and expressed interest and expressed concern and expressed ideas associated with this concept. And appreciate your continued input on that, and stay tuned for more information coming forth.
Thanks for that update. We appreciate it. Any further commissioner comments? Commissioner Messner?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick update, because I can't remember what I updated folks on before the new year. But we did hold 3 different work group meetings associated with the Produced Water Consortium at the end of last year. One working group meeting around reuse of produced water infield. We did a working group meeting around beneficial reuse of produced water outside of the oil field. And then a 3rd meeting around legal and policy issues associated with produced water. Those were all well attended. We also got an update from some of the members of the consortium that were also members of the New Mexico Produced Water Consortium about their yearly conference that occurred just before the meetings that we held, and talked about how to best build upon some of the work that's being done by both the New Mexico Produced Water Consortium as well as the Texas Produced Water Consortium, as we look to continue to move forward with some different ideas within the Colorado Produced Water Consortium. And so I thought that was a good group of meetings. We'll be compiling some notes and look to have some additional work group meetings towards the end of this month or early February. In addition, I had the opportunity to speak to both the Front Range districts and the Western Slope districts at CCI Winter Conference that occurred in the middle of December, and talked about the different rulemakings that we've undertaken and completed, and some upcoming rulemakings that have been considered, as well as current state of permitting in the state of Colorado. And those were both good presentations, and people were interested in what we were doing. So just an update on that.
Excellent. Thanks, Commissioner Messner. Appreciate those updates. Further updates, Commissioner Cross?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I hope everyone had a happy, healthy, and safe New Year and holiday season. Going along with the rulemaking discussion, I've begun reaching out to people about the worker certification rulemaking that will be that was required with Senate Bill 19-181. But I just wanted to reach out to everyone generally and say, if you have anything that you would like to see included on the worker certification, please reach out to me. My contact information is available on the website.
Excellent. Any further commissioner comments? All right, seeing none, I think we move to consent agenda. We had 9 hearing officer recommendations on consent agenda. Does any commissioner have any questions with regard to consent? Commissioner McGowan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I was wondering if someone from CARES would be available to answer some questions about, it's one of the variance requests. And I don't have an issue necessarily with the agreement that they came to with the landowner, what the landowner is asking. I just had some questions about the timing. When I read the documents, it looked to me like the well is actually, it's not the 1048 one, it's the other one. It looked to me like the well was P&A'd in 2008, but then they didn't, if I'm reading the application correctly, they didn't actually come and talk to the landowner until 2020 about planned reclamation. And now the variance is coming to us in 2023. So I was wondering if if it was taking a long time for reclamation to occur, or why the timeline seems so spread out there.
And I believe that we have an attorney for CARES that has been impaneled, Mr. Prashala.
Good morning. I'm looking to see if Mr. Roll from CARES is been elevated to a panelist.
Mr. Roll will be joining us shortly.
I see him now as a panelist.
Indeed. Can you all hear me?
We can hear you, yes. Did you hear the question, Mr. Roll?
I did indeed. Good morning. I believe the question pertained to why this well was plugged in 2007 and we are just now discussing this final reclamation. The well was plugged by a different operator in 2007. CARES acquired the location in 2017. The discussion with the landowner in 2020 was a follow-up by CARES to confirm what was already discussed and agreed upon with the previous operator in Canada Oil and Gas.
That's helpful. I guess I'll leave it at that. Just seems like a very long time between plugging and abandoning and getting final reclamation and a variance request. But I appreciate the background. Thanks.
You bet. I'll add that the variance requests under CARES, all that project to tie up these final reclamation variances started in 2020 once CARES had a grasp on which of their final reclaim locations required a variance.
Yeah, I appreciate that as well. And I think maybe a larger discussion per a little chat with Commissioner Chair Robbins, that maybe this is a larger discussion for the commission to have about how we can get through these variance requests a little more timely. That way the operators aren't hanging and neither are the landowners. But even more to the point though, you know, this well was plugged in 2008 and we're just getting to the variance. So it just feels like a really long time. So just want to make sure that operators are getting to their responsibilities timely. And I realize that you grabbed this from another operator, but you know, an important part of the whole process is when you're done, you clean up after yourself. So sorry, it's just a little soapbox. I'm not mad or anything. It just was curious about why it took so long. So larger discussion maybe.
If I may add, Commissioner McGowan, I think as Mr. Roll kind of alluded to, that these number of variances were filed by CARES that were pre mission change rulemaking, and then they were put on hold until after the rulemaking was completed, and now the variances were submitted under the new rule scheme. So there's also that component to it as well.
With the component that they can now come to the commission, correct, Mr. Prashala?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, I think that the point is well taken. I think that the commission would likely welcome an opportunity to sort of like go back and sort of double check how the variance process is working at this point. We want it to be something that works for operators, works for landowners, works for the commission, works for commission staff. So I'll leave it at that. I don't know that we have any further questions with regard to the potential variance request today. Appreciate Karis being available to answer questions, and we may have further discussion outside of particular variance and just in general with our staff and commission. So we'll leave it at that. Any further questions on consent agenda? Commissioner Ackerman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not so much a question as a comment with regard to the point that you just made on, examination of variances. And, it's a bit of an art. In our rules, we talk about, and I just wanted to kind of make a comment to demonstrate the lens that I look at these through, not with regard to timing, but with regard to substance. In our rules, we talk about the variances, and we talk about variances being available under a variety of circumstances. One of those circumstances is that the variance will result in no net adverse impact to public health, safety, welfare, the environment, or wildlife resources. And as the commissioner who sits in the environmental and wildlife seat, it's one that I key on. Arguably, any disturbance to any land may have an impact, may have an impact on wildlife. But in Colorado, we're very respectful of private property rights. And when operators and private landowners have worked together to leave a small access road or other improvements in place that the landowner could and would otherwise potentially perform on his or her land, I look through it as a lens of not requiring an industry party to go and reclaim those last pieces so that the landowner can go back in and disturb once again and put them back in. And so there is a bit of an art to interpretation in what no net disturbance means. And particularly, I look at it through the lens of no significant adverse impact on wildlife. And this issue comes up from time to time. I just wanted to state for the record that there may be an impact. It may be small. It may be a larger impact if it is reclaimed and then redisturbed. And so I appreciate the materials that are provided to us that we're able to look through. I know that the public doesn't often look through the entirety of applications, and wanted to make sure that people understood the lens with which I was coming from.
Appreciate the comment, Commissioner Ackerman. Further comments, questions, otherwise with regard to consent? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Messner, second from Commissioner Cross. All those in favor of approving consent agenda signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And with that, we have tackled the first agenda of the Colorado Oil and Gas Commission for 2023. We will meet again next Wednesday. I know we've all got lots of things that we're working on, so we will give everybody back the rest of the day, and we would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Motion from Commissioner Ackerman, second from Commissioner McGowan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. See you soon, guys.